Oh, I think you look just alike.
Thank you.
Okay, we are gonna get started. Thanks everyone for coming on this hot day. So hot, it's nice to be inside. I'm Maggie, I work here at Flyleaf Books. Thanks for coming and supporting your local independent bookstore. Your attendance and book purchases allow us to have events like this one, so thank you for supporting authors and stores by purchasing books from us. Tonight we have the pleasure of hearing Louise Marburg talk about her latest work, Fancy Meeting You with Jill McCorkle. We hope you enjoyed the event, and thank you, and remember to get your copy of Fancy Meeting You up front if you haven't purchased one already. Louise Marburg is the author previously of 3 collections of stories. She studied design at the Kansas City Art Institute and is a graduate of New York University and Columbia University. She's been a scholar at the Sewanee Writers Conference and a fellow at the Kenyon Writing Workshops, and her work has been supported by the Virginia Center for the Creative Arts. A native of Baltimore, she lives in New York City with her husband, the artist Charles Marburg. Fancy Meeting You is her first novel. Jill McCorkle has published 7 novels and 4 collections of short stories. She's received countless prizes and has taught at Harvard, Brandeis, and NC State, and is a core faculty in the Bennington Writing Seminars. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Maggie. Am I on? Yes. It is so exciting to have Louise Marburg in town. If you have not read this yet, you are in for a lot of fun because just going back through, I told Louise I have laughed out loud. I might be embarrassed even to tell you at which places I laughed the hardest. You will find them for yourself. But it's just, you start reading this one and you're not gonna put it down until the end. I think when I first read it, I told Louise, here is the middle-aged, very edgy Bridget Jones. So anyone who appreciated Bridget, you will appreciate this even more because Laura is totally real and grounded in the world, and just a fascinating character study. And I'm going to be real careful not to do spoilers because there are a lot of surprises. But I thought the best way to kick it off always is to hear the writer read and to hear Laura for yourself.
Okay, so a little explanation. Laura is 50 years old. She has a father who's 80, a sister who's snotty, and she drinks too much, she lies, and she's a slut. So keep it in mind while I read. Okay.
Hello. Okay. I am in charge of the cake, ordering it, picking it up, transporting it to the party. This, I am told, is the least I can do. The least I can do is nothing at all, but I'm happy to do whatever. I bring it in through the back door of my sister's house and place it on the kitchen counter with greater care than I would give an infant. A 2-layer vanilla buttercream rectangle, large enough to feed 20 to 25 people. Happy birthday, Mick is written on it, as well as the number 80, because that's how old he is. Laura, this is all wrong, Nadine says when she raises the lid of the box. I specifically asked you to order a chocolate cake. The cake is chocolate, I say. You didn't specify the icing. She puts her hands on her hips. You know perfectly well I meant chocolate icing. I do know it, but I feign surprise. It's not chocolate inside either. It's red velvet, my father's favorite. It's his birthday, and maybe his last. Who knows what the future will bring? What difference does it make, Nadine? She drops the lid of the box. You just can't help screwing things up, can you, she says. And you just can't help being a cunt. She's horrified by the C word, as she calls it. Wait, I say, and put a hand to my ear. Did I just hear the doorbell? Wide-eyed, I look out the window. Window behind her, which doesn't even face the street. Guests are arriving. Already, she says, and rushes out of the room. I eat a smoked salmon canapé, then a stuffed mushroom, then a miniature quiche that tastes like vomit. I spit it out into a cocktail napkin and make fake retching noises for the benefit of Nadine's maid, who is rinsing champagne flutes at the sink. Shame on you, she says with a twitchy grin. We're in cahoots. I find my father in my brother-in-law's man cave watching Jeopardy. Hey, Dad. I flop down on the couch beside him. The leather cushion makes a sad little fart. Baby, he says, have you been a good girl? Never mind that I'm 50 years old. Good as gold, I say. How's your love life? Frantic, I say. He wheezes a laugh and turns back to the TV. I detect the spicy sweet scent of cologne. I sniff him to make sure. Dad, are you wearing cologne? What, he says? My 18-year-old nephew Bradley is sitting in a wing chair in the corner of the room, scrolling through his phone. Pop's girlfriend gave him a bottle of Paco Rabanne, he says. Her name is Catherine, and she wears this ratty old fur even when it's hot outside. Wait till you see her. She's like 1,000. Isn't that right, Pop? What? My father says. Bradley raises his voice. Catherine gave you the cologne. I'm not deaf, Dad says. He is deaf, actually. He wears hearing aids, discreet silver pods nestled behind each ear. Is Catherine here yet? Nobody's here yet, I say. But I can hear voices coming from the front hall, so somebody has arrived. That Nadine didn't tell me about Dad's girlfriend pisses me off. She hoards information the way a child hoards candy, sharing it with prissy reluctance. I get up and go to the front hall where Nadine and her husband Archie are greeting a tiny old woman. She's wearing a beige fur stole and a satin dress the color of an eggplant. Catherine, I say, so glad you could come. I take a wild guess. You'd think you'd be going down to Florida next winter? She smiles broadly. Boca in February. Marvelous, I say. Dad's watching television. Shall I take you to him? I'll take her, Nadine says, suspicion clouding her eyes. She's trying to figure out how I know Catherine. She thinks she's Dad's favorite, but she's not. Stop it, Archie says when they're out of earshot. Stop what, I say, as if I don't know. Messing with Nadine's head. Give her a break for once. I haven't even begun to mess with Nadine's head, I say. But I'll give it a rest because Archie is an okay guy. He and Nadine got married when I was in high school and she was in college because she was pregnant. Nadine thinks she's superior to me because she's married with children and now grandchildren, as if reproducing improves your character every time you do it. Anybody who asks, which is a surprising number of people, I say I'm not married by choice because I don't want to take care of anyone else. Some people, usually men, are impressed by that. Predictably, I've been called selfish. I know I'm thought of as the black sheep of the family, despite having a 48-year-old brother who makes his living now as a mime. Jeff doesn't have a family either, but he could easily start one tomorrow, next year, 5 years from now, whereas I aged out at 40. A lot of old people from Dad's assisted living facility mingle in Nadine's soulless living room, eating smoked salmon and baby quiches. I've been craving a drink since 4 o'clock. I go to the wet bar in the man cave and pour an inch of bourbon into a glass, knock it back and pour another. In the living room, I accept a flute of champagne and sip from both drinks. Not a bad combination at all. Do not get drunk, Nadine mouths at me from across the room. What? I mouth in response. I see a guy who I'm instantly attracted to. He's 40-ish and swarthy with biceps that strain at the sleeves of his shirt and a jawline honed with a chisel. I tediously pick my way around the guests until I get close enough to the guy to see he's pushing an old lady in a wheelchair. He's an aide for my father's assisted living facility. Welcome, I say silkily. I'm Laura, Mick's daughter. Can I get you a glass of champagne? He looks at me with smiling eyes, though his mouth is almost stern. He knows what I'm after, I'm shocked to realize, and is perfectly willing to give it. Okay then, I say as if we've spoken aloud. He nods and looks down at his elderly charge, then sets the brake on her wheelchair with his foot. Where should I meet you, he says. I tell him how to get to the guest bathroom upstairs and go to the man cave to get a hold of myself. I want to confide in someone, I'm really dying to, but I can't talk to anyone here. I take my phone from the purse and call my friend Mara. You're gonna have sex with a random waiter at your father's party, she says. Not a waiter, an aide, I say. What's that? Never mind. He's fabulous looking and he's into me. I haven't had sex and I'm embarrassed to admit how long it's been. It's exciting, right? Wouldn't you do it? Silence. I wait. No, I don't think I would, she says thoughtfully. When I walk into the bathroom, he's already there, sitting on the radiator with his tie flipped over his shoulder. He stands up, reaches under my dress, and drags down my underpants before I can say hello. Wait, I say. They'll wait for what? I don't know. I don't have time to wait, he says. Mrs. Slack thinks I'm in the bathroom. You are in the bathroom, I say. Are we doing this or what? We're already doing it. I stare at Nadine's shower curtain as he pumps away because his eyes are empty and I don't want to see him. He smells like armpit and takes way longer than I'd like to finish. I have no one to blame but myself. That was incredibly unpleasant, I say as I retrieve my underpants. He drops the condom in the wastebasket, zips his fly, and adjusts his tie. I never had any complaints before. There's something about the way he says this that makes me ask what he means by before. He combs his dark curls with his fingers. You know, with ladies such as yourself, the feedback is pretty good. So that'll be $75. It's okay if you don't have the cash right now. You can leave an envelope at the front desk when you visit your dad at the facility. I catch sight of myself in the mirror over the sink. My mouth is hanging open. It takes me a moment to understand. By the time I do, he is gone.
I think you chose a section that brings me to so much I want to talk about, because she makes me so nervous. You know, like I too despise the C word, and there are all kinds of things. Like I'm both with her and afraid of her, and afraid for her. The same way anybody who's read Muriel Spark, you know, some of the Muriel Spark characters sort of keep you like on the tightrope. And Laura definitely kept that fearful quotient in me.
Really?
And yet, you know, I've told you this
No,
before,
absolutely.
Louise. And yet there's also this soft center, you know. I mean, so I love Eleanor Lippman used the word tender-hearted, which is actually true.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so we're getting all these barbs. And what I found along the way is the more convinced I am of the tender side of her, the more willing, you know, I go full-fledged with the barbs.
Okay, say the C word, I know you're tender.
Yeah, like there's forgiveness there, you know.
You give her some grace.
There's a kind of balance, and that balance I know is hard to achieve on the page. You know, because if you go too much in either direction, you are going to lose people and alienate. So I would love to hear you talk a little about which aspect of her. I think I know, but I want to hear which voice hit the page first, and sort of what you had in mind when you first met Laura.
You know, it's interesting because I, as I told you, I'm sort of interested in single people on vacation at places where everybody else has someone. And in this book, the first chapter, Laura is on a cruise to the Galapagos, and everybody else has a husband or children or whatever, and she is alone because her boyfriend, who was supposed to come on the cruise, had just dumped her before she paid the deposit. So I really just started with that in mind. You know what happens when you're single and you're on this cruise with a bunch of irritating, you know, people with husbands and wives, and you know, because it would be irritating. You know, you're like the only one. They're all like, you know, together. So I just started writing it. I had been to the Galapagos, so it was, you know, fun to write that and to describe that. And honestly, and I know you know this, I know you know this, anyone who writes fiction, she really just started being bad, like, right away. So, yeah, and I was surprised by that. So she was magic. She really was. She was so much fun to write. And the tender is me loving her. So, you know, I just adored her. And I think I wanted her to, well, first of all, you're right, because I did not want her to be so snarky. Everybody's like, ooh, you know, awful. But I wanted her to be relatable on some level. I mean, she's kind of unrelatable because she's so extreme, but on some level, she's relatable.
Well, and it's also, I mean, it feels like protective gear.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
You know, the barbed exterior.
Right.
Protects her.
She's kind of trying to keep it together, you know, just by her chinny chin chin, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
But there is this really wonderful scene, and I'm not going to give you anything, but it was, it was for me that moment where I just understood her in a totally new way with Kat.
Oh, okay.
And it's
Yes,
all connected
yeah.
with the
So
father.
with her father and her father's
and her father's girlfriend.
She's very tender about that, and that is, has to do with her mother. Her mother is deceased throughout. She's just as her father, but she had been, not surprisingly, a bad daughter. So she has guilt over that.
Yeah. So there is a wonderful balance, and I really don't want to give away that moment or where we go, but so I'm going to keep focusing on the actual writing of it, because it's like the quips. You can dog ear just about every page, and there's something funny, or something that memorable in just a kind of wild or edgy way. And so I'm wondering how much, as a writer, and there are a lot of writers in the audience, so it's interesting to know, what did they naturally just come onto the page, or in revision did you go back and pepper things? Did these quips just live in your brain and pop out?
I am the funniest person on earth. And we all do this. You write a character, you inhabit the character, and in this case, for me, why can I slip into the body of a 50-year-old alcoholic, pathological liar? Got me, but I could, and I was just like, so her, it was like being on stage or something while writing, it was incredible. So I revise as I write. So every sentence has to be perfection before I'll go on. And then at the end, I do revisions, but they're not huge. So they just came, as I was writing. But I write very slowly every page, So, yeah.
The humor is endless. That's why I asked. Like,
Well,
I wondered if you keep a stash.
Oh,
You
no.
know, some people do.
I know. A comic writer read it and she said, there are more jokes per page than I could even count. I think jokes per page, but they were really not. I wasn't coming up with them; they were just coming out of her mouth. Does that make any sense?
Well, it does, because the truth is, Laura could do stand up.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely,
quite easily, just talking about her life.
Yes, she could indeed do stand up, and she'd be perfect because comedians are usually really snarky off stage and on stage. So
we'll do that a little bit from the beginning.
Okay.
That where you first see her.
Okay, here
her
she
dark
is.
side emerging.
Here she is in the Galapagos, and she's having lunch with some annoying people who are married. She has told everybody that her husband has been delayed on business. So she's made up a husband named Alistair. Okay. There is a very small shark swimming beneath me, and I am okay with it. I feel brave and nonchalant. Later at lunch, I tell Bill and Matilda that a shark was the very first creature I saw on the very first day I ever snorkeled. Snorkeled, I say. Is that even a word? I laugh. I love snorkeling. It's my new favorite thing. After the shark, a sea lion swam up and did a backflip for my entertainment, and I followed a sea turtle until it sank into the depths. Black spiny sea urchins carpeted the ocean floor like a garden of lethal flowers. I thought I saw a whale-shaped shadow move through the water, but it disappeared almost instantly, a moment of artificial excitement. I was the last passenger to return to the Zodiac, which earned me a dark look from our guide Alejandro. We are not supposed to swim by ourselves. Does the shark have a white spot on its back? Bill says through a mouthful of salad. Though it did have a white spot, I say it didn't. Because if it had a white spot, it was a Galapagos shark, and they're perfectly harmless. It was dark gray and quite large, twice as long as you are tall. Are you sure it was a shark? Sounds more like a whale, he says. I would have been terrified, a woman named Celia says. She and her husband, O'Neill,
her husband Neil know Bill and Matilda from their hotel in Quito. We were eating on an open deck, frigate birds overhead like a squadron of hovercrafts. Alistair would have loved it, I say. He's very intrepid. Nothing scares him. It's a shame he had to miss it. What does Alistair do? Neil says. He has a camera with a lens as long as my forearm that he carries around with a preoccupied look on his face, as if he's on assignment for National Geographic. He's a surgeon, I say. I was in love with a surgeon a few years ago. Do you have children, Celia says? She has 4, Matilda tells everyone before I can speak. A 15-year-old, a 13-year-old, an 11-year-old, and an 8-year-old. All boys. Can you imagine? Apparently this is what I said at the cocktail reception last night. I'm glad she spoke up because I had forgotten. I drank too much, which is something I often do, and part of the reason my ex-beau defected. He thinks I'm an alcoholic. I might be. I'm not dismissing the idea, but what difference does it make if I am? I guess you don't work outside the home with such a large family to take care of, Celia says. I'm a doctor too, a psychiatrist, I say, which creates a well of quiet. Probably they're afraid of shrinks or don't believe in psychotherapy, but I bet at least one of them will seek me out later in the trip and tell me their darkest secret. I've never met a psychiatrist, Matilda says. You're not meeting one now, I think. I work as a fact checker for a textbook publisher in Baltimore. It's an incredibly boring job. I keep meaning to quit and do something I love, but I haven't thought of anything I would particularly love to do other than not work at all. I signal the waiter by waving my empty wine glass over my head. I'm not drunk, but I'm not sober. He brings me another glass rather than pouring the wine from a bottle, so I really don't know what I'm drinking.
And Baltimore just slipped in. Did Baltimore surprise you?
Well, I actually put in that later that I put the word Baltimore in because I have the worst time placing things, and often I'll just write a story that has no place. It's like someplace, but I have no idea where it is. And so I knew this had to have a place. I just thought, well, let's do Baltimore, but the sprinkling of Baltimore. So it's just like, no big deal. And I didn't realize, I told this to Robin, I didn't realize this is like a Baltimore book. Like there's Baltimore all through it. And, places, the people, somebody wrote me and said they just remember all the places I mentioned, a boutique, a bar, different neighborhoods. And I just didn't realize I put so much in. But it's a good thing I did. I'm from Baltimore, I know it. So, I think it gives it some texture.
Well, it does. That's why I asked, because I was trying to think if any of your stories mention Baltimore. I don't think so. I think of them as more New York or kind of characters they could be anywhere. And so I knew you had grown up in Baltimore.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was funny.
Yeah,
that this character
I really did
took you back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Robin is grinning, so clearly she had insightful moments.
Well, I told Robin at AWP that I was like, oh my God. And AWP this year was in Baltimore. So we were in Baltimore talking about a Baltimore book. But Baltimore's changed so much. It's absolutely nothing like anything I put in this book. So, oh well, that's okay. Old Baltimore. But it was fun. It was, it's fun. It's fun for me now to realize that I did that. And I think I don't know about you, but I think when I'm writing, I don't realize. I would say a good 30% of what I write, I'm not aware of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's probably means everything's going.
Yeah.
That's why I always find it fascinating to see what kind of blows in. Like I always told my students, your subconscious is always about 3 steps ahead of you.
Yeah.
So that's why I was curious that something in this characer.
Well, I did
took
know
you
a lot of
back.
drunks in Baltimore for sure.
You what?
Knew a lot of drunks in Baltimore, so that possibly makes sense. But yeah, and some pathological liars. I don't know. Yeah, but no, I just dropped it in. In fact, I might have even thought that I would take it out. It was just not a really conscious decision.
What's So, what else?
Uh,
I wouldn't mind you reading a little more.
Okay.
And I have
you know
no
what?
sense of
I got the Octavia boutique. Champagne on the
that's-
floor is very fun.
okay,
Well,
go for it.
maybe you all want this. When my mother was alive, she shopped for her dressiest clothing in a lushly carpeted pink and white boutique called Octavia. As I don't shop there, I never drive past it. I wonder if it's still in business, a question that would never enter my mind if I didn't need something to wear to Harriet's. Harriet's her fancy friend. I'm determined to look fantastic and intriguing and possibly wealthy, and I'm willing to max out my visa to do it. I search the internet for Octavia and a lot of useless information comes up. I add Baltimore and there it is with a 4.8 Google rating. I check my credit card balance, call in sick, and drive to Octavia as if impelled by the spirit of my mother, who always looked like $1,000,000. I feel like I've been transported back in time. Everything is exactly the same. While the saleswomen aren't the same people, they're about the same age in the murky land between 40 and 60. The carpet is still deep and spotlessly white. There is still a rose-colored satin love seat. The counter where the saleswomen discreetly ring you up is still a half moon with a faux marble pink top. When I walk in, a pleasing bell tone sounds from some mysterious corner. I'm looking for something festive yet chic, I tell the saleswoman who approaches me. I have never used the words festive and chic together in a sentence, but she seems to understand what I mean. Like a restaurant waiter, she introduces herself. Her name is Elaine, and she is delighted to help. What's the occasion, she asks. I tell her a New Year's dinner party, and she snaps into action, gathering clothing from various racks as if she's committed the Octavia inventory to memory. Another saleswoman offers me a glass of champagne, which is a welcome surprise at 11 in the morning. My mother used to shop here, I say. Sometimes she brought my sister and me along when we were little. We'd play on the floor in the dressing room while she tried on clothes. What a lovely memory, Elaine says. She's got a load of clothes in her arms. Either the other saleswoman replenishes my champagne from a bottle, and Elaine directs me to a changing room. She's collected dresses of every length and style, from seafoam silk gown to a sequin mini. I try on the mini to see if I look sexy in it. I do, but it's not the image I'm going for. I try a red wool shift and a midnight blue velvet skirt and jacket. I sit on the little gold chair Octavia has provided and finish my champagne. What do I want? I don't know. I think about it in a little while. I call out for Elaine and tell her to bring more champagne. She comes with another glass. Here's the thing, I say. I want to look intriguing, but I don't care if I'm inappropriate. She purses her lips and frowns. I think we're both wondering if I'm in the right shop, but then she gathers herself and says she'll be back in a flash. Champagne always makes me sleepy, so I lay down on the floor. The carpet is just as soft as I remember and smells like gardenias or jasmine or orange blossoms, something heady and sweet. This place is amazing, when Elaine returns. Have you worked here long? She looks down at me with a neutral expression on her face, and I have to give her credit for that. There can't be too many Octavia customers who lie on the dressing room floor. About 3 years, she says, as she hangs the jacket and pants on a hook in the wall. This came in quite a while ago and hasn't sold. I don't know why. I think it's very smart, but it might be dressier than what you have in mind. Try it anyway. Sure, I say. You never know. She slips out of the room with lowered eyes. Now she's telling the others in a scandalized whisper that I'm drunk and lying on the floor. I get up and take off my clothes. The outfit is a black silk pantsuit whose wide lapels glitter like a night sky filled with stars. I put on the pants and then the jacket, which buttons up high enough so there's no need for a blouse. The pants are tapered and the jacket cinches at the waist. I turn and look in the three-way mirror where I'm multiplied from every angle. I look so stylish and sharp, I hardly recognize myself. Marvelous, Elaine says when I tell her I want the suit. All three saleswomen beam at me. Doubtless they work on commission, thus the eagerness in the champagne. She takes the suit from me and lays it lovingly in a tissue-lined box, as if it's a gift I'm giving myself. We move to the faux marble pink counter and I hand her my credit card. I forgot to look at the price tag, so I ask her how much I owe. $1,628 with tax, she says. It's marked down, so it's not returnable. I hope that's all right. I take out my MasterCard and put it on the counter beside the Visa. Split it between the two, I say. I know this is possible because I've done it before. She looks at the cards just long enough
that I am given to understand no other customer has asked for such a thing. She does it without comment while the others pretend to be busy. I don't think I'll shop here again.
I think you are a natural scene writer.
Ah.
I mean, this book is really begging to be a movie. I would say.
Let's all collectively beg for that.
Yeah. But you know, because there's so many scenes, and you've said yourself, it's episodic with the scenes. But some of my favorite places are those spots of summary or reflection, where you accomplish so much in a little amount of space. I'm going to read one of my favorites.
Okay.
And chapter 15 begins with the old rhyme: Monday's child is fair of face, Tuesday's child is full of grace, Wednesday's child is full of woe, Thursday's child has far to go, Friday's child is loving and giving, Saturday's child works hard for a living, and the child that is born on the Sabbath day is bonny and blithe and good and gay. And then this one paragraph, okay? According to my mother, I was born on a Thursday, Nadine on Tuesday, and Jeff on a Sunday. But I'm sure she was wrong about all of us. I'm better looking than most people, and therefore Monday's child. And Nadine, always in a snit, is rightfully Wednesday's child. Jeff is about as bonny, blithe, and gay as the pet turtle we had when we were kids, who rarely emerged from its shell. And then we go on into the birthday. But, you know, I read a paragraph like that, and I think, well, that is a perfect opening, you know, of a short story or any scene, because it establishes so much about their characters immediately, and is the opposite of what is the truth.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, it's a perfect example of that kind of reversal that I think she does throughout, that as a reader you start to understand, just like her lies in the Galapagos, you start to see a different truth. And
Yeah.
I think that's what I was trying to say earlier with the way the tenderhearted finds its way into the snarky.
Well, that's the last chapter.
Because you start to understand this reversal.
Yeah. Well, that's the last chapter, the beginning of the last chapter.
Yeah.
So she does grow over time. You know, her all of her lying, and there's a point where she goes to a party and tells a lie about what she does for a living, and it turns out there's somebody else at the table who does the same thing. It's like, oh, we've got to talk about that. Of course, she has no idea what nothing. And she was just insecure because here are all these glamorous people. That was that chapter, and you know, she's like, well, I'm nothing, you know, and so she definitely knows her underachieving self that she's underachieving. Yeah, so it's sad. Yeah. As you said in your blurb, let me see.
What did I say in that?
Jill McCorkle has blurbed every book I've written. I just realized that. Let's see. Okay. With impeccable comic timing, Marburg also has a daring to skate as close as possible to life's dark edges, sometimes bringing us to that suspenseful place of wondering, do I laugh or do I cry? So, yeah.
Well, how are we on time? Because there may be questions out here.
Questions.
I mean, her editor is in the audience. Her husband is in the audience. So you know, you've got good resources. Any questions?
Will she tell the truth?
Will she? I don't know. See, that's just the thing. I think she'll tell the truth.
I'm kind of curious. I know you as a short story, very, very excellent short story writer. So I'm curious if this book had an element of, if you started with a short story idea and then transitioned to a novel, or you said this is a bigger sort of character arc that you're going to follow?
Well, the first chapter was a short story, and very unusual for me to then go take the character to go on with it. But you haven't read it, but every chapter has an arc, and the whole book has an arc. So it's really we're not supposed to say this, but it's a novel in stories. So I think I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think it's a novel.
Well,
I think it's a novel.
It's a novel.
But she can say it's a novel.
But I don't
She
want
can't
Jill
say
to be
that.
right.
We're just not going to put it on cover.
No, because I told you years ago
Yeah.
you should write a novel,
And I
and
just-
she
I
said,
just
"I'm
don't."
never going to write a novel."
I didn't want to, and I still don't. And it's just wrong. Yeah.
But I mean, chapters. I mean, it all
It all worked out in the end.
worked
Yeah.
out. But thank you.
It really is a lovely novel. I mean, that's what sometimes makes a great novel is each chapter has an arc and the whole thing has an arc.
Yeah. Actually, it's true because most of the chapters cannot stand alone. So there's that. So I guess you're right. Yeah. Whatever. Okay. Anyone else?
Other questions or?
Well, maybe that's your approach to the chapters, though. Maybe your approach is you're writing a story every time.
Yeah, it is.
And
Yeah.
you're gonna link them together. So that makes
Yeah,
sense to me.
I mean, every chapter is sort of a fresh idea. Yeah, so, but honestly, it's not like any editor has said, oh, this is a novel in stories. They never did, so, yeah. Anyway.
Is that? I mean, is a novel in stories the same as connected stories?
Yeah, like story,
Oh, okay.
I think so.
Linked stories.
But,
I had never heard a novel in stories.
well, that's
I just
an
say
agent made
linked
that up.
stories.
It's different. It's different. It's different. Link stories have the same characters recurring,
Yeah.
but can stand alone. But a novel in stories is like
Yeah, that's
the
true.
story keeps going with
Like Olive
with
Kitteridge.
each. Mhm.
No one has any questions?
I've got one. I've got
Okay.
one.
Here's
And there's another one.
I was just curious about why you were so opposed to writing a novel, and at what point did you realize that you had a novel on your hands?
Good question.
When I sent this to Jill in manuscript form, and she said, "Oh, this is a novel." So that. I'm devoted to short stories. I set out to be a masterful short story writer, and I'm not, but I'm always working toward that. And I think short stories are absolutely the most. I think they're a wonderful art form and so specific in how they are constructed, and it's just to me endlessly interesting. So that's, hi.
Hey, so who are some of the short story writers that you enjoy the most?
Oh my goodness. I can sooner tell you the ones I don't enjoy. Well, Jill McCorkle. And that's true. I'm not just sucking up to her. I love Jill's books long before I met her. John Cheever. I was a huge fan of John Cheever. Alice Munro, of course. So all of that, the early influences. And nowadays, I think Deborah Eisenberg. She doesn't really write anymore, but I love her stories. I've got the
I do too.
Yeah, she's great.
It's great.
Yeah. So, I'm really interested in character and human nature. So, I think with short stories, they really are about character rather than a huge plot. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, they vary,
Yeah.
obviously, but I think you can get away, with that focus
Mhm.
easier than if a whole novel was.
I love
lost in it.
in a short story. I love constructing a sentence that tells many things in one. You can describe someone, and you can say many things about everything else just by describing them, by saying something they're wearing. It says a million different things about what's going on in the room, what they're like, what their husband's like. You know, I just love that about stories. So, anyway.
When did you start writing? You know,
Well, that's interesting because for a long time I was an art director in magazines in New York City, and then I think this is sort of I've heard other people say something. I didn't want to be my boss, so and I was that I didn't feel totally into continuing as an art director. Concurrently, I was a voracious reader and really wanted to write, which is, you know, so I went to graduate school, which was, you know, so useless. Such a
Well, except
Throw
it
away
was
some money.
time to
Yeah,
write.
that's true. So, so what was the question? I'm sorry.
When did you start to enjoy writing?
Oh,
You know, and
in my 30s.
so you didn't write when you were younger?
No,
or anything
no,
like
I
that?
drew, but it was always kind of narrative drawing.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
story.
Yeah, story. Yeah, I just wanted to communicate.
No, I mean, I love stories, and you know, I think a lot of story writers are looking for ways to convince publishers that
Yeah.
stories need to
Stories
be
rock.
read.
Yeah. This.
The likability of a character is something I think about a lot because I'm also writing about. I tend to write sort of unlikable women, quote unquote. And I'm very curious what you think in terms of like how much of the character when you're writing is for the character's sort of humanity and authenticity, and how much is your perception of who's the reader's going to be, what they might get out of it. Is that part of your process at all?
I never think about the reader.
What about in the editing or the sort of revision process? Is that
No. I just don't. Is that wrong?
No,
No, it sounds great.
I think if you think about the reader, you get in trouble.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. I just go with it. But I'm thinking about the reader now. So.
That's my job. I think about the reader when I.
Yeah, that's exactly
But
right.
if the author thinks too much about the reader,
It's not
you
getting
become
such a good book.
stilted. You self-edit. Doesn't
Yeah.
work.
No, I just let it go.
And I mean, the whole thing about likable, they don't have to be likable.
But that's a thing, you know.
They
I've
can
actually
be
been,
they can be very interesting and
Yeah.
compelling and without being likable.
I just wonder sometimes if the conversation of likable happens around like female characters, which is a very different. They're received, perceived, etc. differently. Like the word likable comes in for
Yeah.
women.
Yeah, and we could
protagonists.
go on to say other things about that in the world.
Yeah.
Women, you know, being unlikable when they exhibit, you know, any behavior that's not currying to, you know, to men. So, you know, I write generally really unlikable characters too, and I've had, you know, questions from, you know, interviews or podcasts, you know, why do you write such terrible people? So I always say because I've known a lot of terrible people, and, you know, it's great. But the truth is that, you know, with this character, with most characters, it's really fun to say what everybody's thinking. And you can do it on a page where you probably can't do it verbally. So, you know.
Some people do. But
Maybe I do a little bit. Hi, Tom.
yes.
Did you really, how did you zero in on the quirkiness and the uniqueness of seniors and their lack of filters and all those kinds of things that we run into in nursing homes and in our own lives with our own parents and so forth? You know, it's humorous and it's sad and it's quirky and it's all this stuff thrown in together with lots of love wrapped around it.
Are you talking about her father?
Yeah. No, I'm talking about how did you zero in on that particularly segment of the population to think about?
Oh,
her age and
Oh,
what she's
her.
going through.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, her.
I don't really think of 50 as senior.
Well, he's approaching there. Somewhat mature. Mature. Okay. More mature.
Middle age.
But her interaction with her father and
Oh yeah.
all that.
How did I zero in on 50? That's a sort of an interest of mine. Older people who have not, there are things, there are gaps in their lives. They've not achieved what they wanted to achieve. That period of time is like when you kind of assess and you go, what have I done?
What haven't I done?
What haven't I done? Yeah. So that really is probably why I made her 50. I just think that's a really, and also I think the 50s are the best years of a woman's life, but I don't know. What do you think?
Almost there, so I'll find
Oh.
out. I'll find out in 2 years.
You really were young when you had children. God.
I think 50s are an interesting time for women of reassessment.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting
Reflective.
time because you often, have both children and parents in the picture, so you're very
interesting.
aware of that center. I think you're right.
And you are becoming your parents
Yeah.
in some ways.
Hopefully not. But
Maybe.
The reckoning. It's the reckoning. It's coming.
Get ready, Hanada.
Oh my God.
It's coming.
wait, I was going to say something about that. Oh, so Laura, the main character, has failed in this respect. She's not a mother, and she's not a wife, and she does not have a big career. So those are the three things you're allowed to do as a woman. You should be doing. If you're not having a big career, you've got to be a mother. And if you're a mother, you should be a wife. All of that. So she's not doing any of that. She's, a free agent, and so I think she's grappling with that. She wants to get married. She's wanted to get married for her whole life, and she, she's 50, so we shall see, won't we?
But this is not by any means remotely a meet cute book. I had never even heard that term until recently.
Yeah, what is
But
I mean, I know what it is, but where
Yeah.
do you hear that?
it's a term. It was in a New Yorker cartoon recently.
Really?
Yes. Anyway, this is not that. Even
It's
though
not. It's not a romantic. But it's.
even though there is.
I think there are 50-year-olds all over the country who are going,
Relationships.
God, why can't? Where am I going to get a guy, or where am I going to get a girl? I think that's,
Well, and the way she treats this one guy, you'll see
yeah.
when he's late for the
Oh
first
yeah,
for the day.
yeah. She doesn't kowtow to men at all.
No.
No. I just love her.
Are there other questions?
Is she coming back?
Am I going to write another one? You're not the first person who's asked me that. Writing is a miracle. Publishing is hell. So I'm sure I'd love to write it. I'm just not sure how.
You
that
didn't
would
write
go.
this one, so you didn't want to write this one. So
Exactly.
let's see what happens.
I could see continuing to write her for sure. Yeah, definitely.
You love her.
I do love her.
I was gonna say it's really nice to see how fond you are of her, because I think so
Yeah.
many of us also can fight against the
Uh-huh.
characters we make and like trying to get them to do things.
Yeah,
And she's seen you seem to have a really
we
nice.
have a great relationship.
Yeah.
A really honest relationship.
Yeah.
A serious and honest relationship.
You see
And
each
fun.
other.
Yeah. I see
Charlie,
her.
does that
Yeah.
scare you? I'm kidding. Are there any other questions?
Okay.
Anything? Or about writing? Anything you want to say that we haven't covered?
I want to say that your local publisher, Blair, rocks. Really great publisher. So buy the book, if only for them. Or me, whatever.
And Louise has other books, story collections.
I do.
So it is interesting, because you are primarily a short story writer, known as a short story writer. So for me, it's been interesting to see the evolution.
Yeah, I was really irritated. Remember, I told you, I told you that I wrote it by mistake.
I think a lot of novels happen that way.
Oh, by mistake.
Those in denial.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming, everybody.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yes, we're good. So you can just get your book signed. Here's Maggie. I don't know if you have words.
If you didn't get a chance to buy a book, we have copies at the front. And if you want to get your book signed and didn't get to, Louise will do that now. So stick around a little bit more.
Thank you.
Next to you. Thank you.
Oh, good. Louise, this is my friend Chris.
Hi, I loved this. I can't wait to read it.
Oh, I'm
buy it and read it.
No, it's fun.
And Hanana, Chris.
Nice to meet you.